As if Cardano did not have enough problems going on with public perception. News coming out today that the Cardano summit that was supposed to take place the 5th of 6th of October in Singapore, the event has been canceled. This is just the latest in a long laundry list of issues going on with Cardano that go back many, many of years. I myself on this channel have been very critical of Charles Hoskinson, questioning his desire to be involved with the project after the mainnet happened a handful of years ago in 2018, 2019. Him then going on to release a restaurant, then going on to do deep sea exploration focused on bioluminescence, and the recent stint being focused on the next project, Midnight. I've long stated that Charles Hoskinson, the owner, head guy at Input Output Hong Kong, had not been doing enough to incentivize people to want to build on Cardano. Recently, as early as 2025, he had gone on record on a Twitter space and went on a tirade basically slamming the community for not building on Cardano, only to later on go in another Twitter space, Twitter Live actually, and say that, hey, we think Cardano can be made something special if we incorporate Bitcoin into the ecosystem. Both of these are pretty much a far cry from where Cardano started. Essentially, it tried to be and operate as an Ethereum killer. Once that failed, the blockchain was left to try to pivot. And since they have not been able to gain or anchor into anything substantial in the crypto space, I've always said that, again, if you want people to build on Cardano, if you're Charles Hoskinson, you got to open up that war chest, right? You were one of the head guys over at Ethereum. You probably made some money from that. You were the head guy here over at Cardano. You probably made some money from that. Open up that war chest and give people a reason to want to build things on Cardano, because when you take a look at how Cardano has been performing as of late, we'll just take a look here at the chart. It's been a complete free-for-all, or free fall rather, for the last year, with, if I'm being honest, no relief in sight anytime soon. Now, I will say this: when you go to DeFi Llama and you take a look at what is going on with Cardano, total value locked on the actual blockchain itself is 126 million. That's not a lot by any stretch of the imagination, especially when you compare it to other blockchains like Binance Smart Chain, Solana. These things are, 3, 4, 10 times in some cases what Cardano is. I believe Tron even has a higher total value lock count on their blockchain than what Cardano is currently showing. The thing that I found to be most grotesque as it stands now is the chain fees in the last 24 hours are only $2,000. $2,000. Some of you watching this video have more money in your left pocket than all of the chain fees that were earned by Cardano. I've been having this conversation with people on Twitter since the information had broken. A lot of people are saying, well, it's a difference between people building on the protocol versus people who are just, looking to trade the coin. I said, yeah, I hear what you're saying. I understand the point that you're trying to get at. But when the chain fees over the last 24 hours are only $2,000, or when the chain revenue for the last 24 hours is only $401, we have a very big problem. To me, what that says is, if the chain fees are only 24 hours, that's, every time someone interacts or uses one of these protocols on the chain, they've got to pay a fee to do so. If the chain fee is only $2,000, what that's telling me is what is currently being built on Cardano is not capturing the interest of the market. And in this space, no matter how we want to phrase it, no matter how we want to look at it, the market picks and chooses the winner. So for them to say, hey, the chain fees in the last 24 hours for Cardano, what that's telling me is the market is not adopting Cardano right now. If anything, they're probably shying away. Total value locked in the last, again, 24 hours is 126.6 million, almost down 2% in the last 24 hours. NFT volume, 3,575. The token price itself is 23 cents. The fully diluted market cap is 10 billion. Current market cap is 8.4. So again, there's not really a whole lot that from an investor standpoint piques my interest when it comes to Cardano. Again, I think that the conversation is, how does retail extract value out of all of these tokens that we invest in? Cardano currently is not showing anything that would suggest, hey, investing in this long term is probably going to equate to positive price appreciation on a large scale. If you hold it long enough because you see some positive increase in the price, sure. But is it going to be on par with what you might see in the rest of the market? In my own opinion, probably not. Stablecoin market cap is around 54.8 million. Again, It's there. It's not the highest. I don't even think it's top five when you consider all of the other blockchains that are currently out right now. So I think, especially when you look at the DEX volume over the last 24 hours, 1.74 million. The DEX volume on Cardano pales in comparison to a lot of other blockchains. You take a look at Sui, you take a look at Solana, you take a look at Ethereum, right? Those being among some of the leaders. BNB, even. There's a lot to clean up here when it comes to Cardano. You see the metrics here. Let's just add another one. Let's take a look at how the app revenue has been. It's almost non-existent, right? Almost non-existent, especially when you take a look at where it was in 2025 to where it's currently at now. It's virtually not even on the map. If we had another metric here, we can take a look at, say, I don't know, perpetuals are hot right now. Let's take a look at perpetuals. Perpetuals, again, still paling in comparison when you compare what Cardano has done to a lot of other different blockchains. So if you're holding Cardano, again, I kind of question what your strategy is, because all metrics point to Cardano being a severe underperformer as the market continues to move through 2026 into 2027. We don't have any major announcements coming down the pipeline for Cardano that could get people to think that, hey, this thing is probably going to turn around. The most recent announcement coming out of the Cardano camp today is that on the 5th to 6th of October in Singapore, the previously announced Cardano Summit is not going to be held. One of the things that Cardano, I would suggest, does reasonably well is they listen to the community, and the community, I suppose, voted to not have this event, even after Charles Hoskinson tried to chime in and give his support for the event. What this tells me is that the sentiment across the community, across the board, is just not there. I don't know of another blockchain where the members, even in the worst of times, would actually vote to not hold the conference. I just came back from Consensus not too long ago, and at Consensus, there were three sidechain events that I know of. There was Solana Accelerate, massive presence from the community, massive presence from developers and projects that are building on Solana. There was Sui Live, massive presence from the community, massive presence from projects that are building on Sui, as well as BNB Miami, right? Coming in from the camp from Binance. Strong presence there, a lot of different projects that we're building, a lot of different devs, as well as members from the Binance blockchain, Binance Smart Chain were there. This is a far cry. I don't know that in all my years in crypto, if I've ever seen or heard of an ecosystem electing to not have their summit. And if you don't know, these summits, they kind of operate as like the homecoming, if you will, right? They give the people something to look forward to. Here's what we're currently working on. Here is what the big rock has been over the last year, and here's how far we've been able to move it. Here's who's showing interest in us. Here's some of the things that we're looking to capture in the next year, 2 years, 5 years. And for the community of Cardano to just come out and say, you know what, we're just not going to have it, even with the head guy throwing their support saying, hey, we should have it, being Charles Hoskinson, then voting not to have it, I got to be honest with you, this does not bode well for Cardano. If anything, when sentiment is down, you need to have events like this so that you can get your community reinvigorated, re-energized, and give them something to look forward to. When I see events like this being canceled, it kind of speaks to me and confirms what I already known, that Cardano is a chain that is currently suffering. Its fall from grace will be studied. And if the people who are running the protocol, if the people who are running the chain do not do anything to properly incentivize people to want to come on over to Cardano and build something worthwhile, Cardano is going to fall into obscurity. So again, that's not to say that you won't see, some price movement going up in the charts here. I just, in my own opinion, do not believe that this is going to be on par with the average of altcoins. Should the market return, I think it's probably going to be one of the bottom performers. And if you're someone who's holding Cardano, seeing everything that's being presented here, if you've been paying attention to Cardano over the last couple of years, I think you've got a very serious question that you need to ask yourself, and that is being, why do I still hold Cardano? What do I see the catalyst being to turn this thing around? One of the last reports I read, that Cardano was then looking to change gears again and make another pivot and try to capture some of this tokenized asset action that's going around on the blockchain. You guys know my theory. Whenever a blockchain tries to pivot and change their identity, it's a death sentence for that blockchain.